Welcome to In the Can with Carmella Cann. Today we're going to be talking about the Electoral College and how that affects the presidency in this country. It's not usually the popular vote that wins, but the first person to get 270 electoral votes within the college. I have a very special guest today. I'd like to welcome David Warren, who is a Democratic District Leader, Assembly District 75, Part A, and is on the NYPD Hate Crimes Panel. David, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, the Electoral College, that's the main way to become president of the U.S. these days. It's usually not the popular vote. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, but Trump won the Electoral College back in 2016. So, what are your thoughts? I mean, so much of it goes into these 7 swing states that are the focus of this election.
Well, for me, the Electoral College is very frustrating because it's tended to lean towards Republicans. When the Electoral College was first created, it was so the states would be join the Constitution, leave the Confederation, and would become a federal government rather than a confederation. So it was to give smaller states, rural people, more of a say. Remember, it was a different population, and these, white men who voted, not women and African Americans and other. So it was based on to give some of those people more of a say, and for them also to come into the union. Obviously, over the years, it's really it's not served its purpose because it originally was to keep a fanatic out like Trump. It was set up to kind of unofficially, have enlightened people who.
Please click the link below and visit Carmella Cann's shop. Have official merchandise, anything from magnets to tote bag, and they're perfect for either holiday gifts or birthday gifts. And you could get your official Carmella Cann merchandise on the link below.
I don't know how we can get rid of it without at this time. Because you need to change the Constitution, which is a very difficult process. So I don't know. We're kind of in a logjam.
I mean, there are 538 electors, and basically the first person to get to 270 wins the Electoral College. And our founding fathers, when they came up with this, was, I believe, with the idea that issues that were important to, for instance, North Carolinians or Wisconsins may not be as important to New Yorkers, or things that affect New Yorkers or California may not affect the middle of the country, and therefore to have some more of an equitable vote system in the way the process is. It wasn't really about the popular vote, so to speak. Do you think it's serving its function at this point in time, or no?
In that particular instance, it actually is, because let's say someone from Georgia, rural Georgia, or industrial Michigan, has a very different issues, let's say, than someone like myself who lives in Manhattan. I don't drive a car. I take public transportation. I take a bicycle. These people drive cars. They're dealing with car insurance. Issues that I don't deal with are very important to these voters. So in a sense, it is serving its purpose, because otherwise these people might be forgotten. So now the candidates have to go to these backwater places or these
battleground states,
and they have to go there, and the eye is on them. It's it's a little bit of a tangent, but like the Iowa caucuses. Nobody would ever come to Iowa, but Iowa holds a great importance for these people because they have the caucuses. In New Hampshire, used to be New Hampshire, I think now it's South Carolina. That is the first primary. So there are some good parts of the Electoral College. I don't like it because of what happened with Bush and what happened with Trump. But I just don't know how we can get rid of it legally and properly.
They say Pennsylvania is one of those battleground states that has 19 electoral votes. So it's a very big state up for grabs for either Harris or Trump. because they say if you win Pennsylvania, you pretty much are going to win the election because it has so many electoral votes attached to it. And like you said, there's issues that, affect New Yorkers or people in California and Florida that will not affect people from Pennsylvania. Am I correct?
That's true. I mean, even where there's one electoral vote in Nebraska and Maine, both divide. They're the only two states that divide their electoral votes. Based on it's based on congressional districts. You have people going to these places in Nebraska, because it's kind of purple.
I mean, some people say, oh, my vote doesn't matter because in the end of the day, it's not the popular vote. And it really comes down to these 7 battleground states that are going to decide who the presidency is going to be for 2024.
Well, no, your vote does matter because, first of all, down ballot is the most important. This year there isn't. In New York City, there is city council races, and there's just certain state senate and assembly races and congressional races, and they're important because they matter. If you have a problem, you're not going to go to the President of the United States, but you can go to your congressperson, you can go to your state senator, you can go to your assembly person or your council person. Those are the people that really matter when there's an issue.
Sometimes they matter more because they're the ones making policy in the local area that you live in and affect you even more so than the federal government does.
If there's an issue where you need federal help, you would go through your congressperson generally, and your senator, but the congressperson would know the area much better than, let's say, some national person. For, let's say, the Department of Transportation, something's occurring. Your congressperson would be able to know that much better than some person who works for the Department of Transportation. I might know the technicalities and the engineering of something, but say this is what the community needs, this is what the community wants, or this is what the community doesn't want. So it's very important. It really does matter. We're in New York State, for example, where we are. Last election, for some reason, it went wacky and they went Republican, and that changed the control of the House of Representatives.
You mean 2022?
Correct.
Okay.
So now today,
for the governor,
right? No, for the Congress,
for
House
Congress.
of Representatives.
Oh yes, correct.
Okay. So today, if we
lost a couple of seats in the House.
Hopefully, we will in 2024. Today, we'll gain back those seats in purple areas. I mean, I've gone upstate to campaign for different congressional candidates, even though Harris is going to win New York State, because we want to make sure when she wins, she has a majority to govern with. Because if it's the same Republicans, then it's not going to be the case. And there are issues aside from abortion that really matter. I mean, when you look at the 2025 plan, there were hurricanes a couple of weeks ago. They're talking about eliminating the National Weather Center. So a congressperson in upstate New York who's a Republican would vote along with that. A Democrat would not.
Yeah.
There's different, so it really does matter. LGBTQ issues and health issues.
No, of course. I mean, you do need the 3 branches of government: the Senate, the House, and the presidency.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if you get if these Republicans are reelected today in their seats, you're going to see something very different for the community than if the Democrats. It's going to be, there's a clear definition of what they will bring to the community, what they will fight for, and what they believe in. And that is probably, even though the presidency gets more talk, because they deal with international and they're dealing with different international relations, that is what.
I mean, they say that if neither candidate gets the 270, hypothetically speaking, let's say there's a tie where it's 269 and 269, then it goes to the House of Representatives to pick who the presidency is.
That happened in 1876.
Exactly. And that's kind of what the Trump strategy is kind of today in trying to change the rules a little bit. I believe Lindsey Graham was at the forefront of one of the states where when it comes to the electors that they can throw the weight behind. Please click the link below and visit Carmella Cann shop. Have official merchandise, anything from magnets to tote bag. and they're perfect for either holiday gifts or birthday gifts. And you could get your official Carmella Cann merchandise on the link below. I mean, these battleground states, some of the margin of error between the two candidates is very slim. I mean, it can go either way, which is why it's...
I don't have a crystal ball, but in 2022, they were all talking about...
I mean, who do you think is going to win tonight?
Well, here's what I'm going to say. We're going to step back to 2022, and then we'll talk about tonight. Mm-hmm. In 2022, the Republicans in the primaries elected Trump Republicans, like they did now in this cycle. The incumbent party usually takes a shellacking. I mean, they really usually lose. I mean, you saw what Obama lost in 2010, and even popular presidents like Reagan and Eisenhower even lost. But the Democrats did not lose that many in 2022, and that was because the Republicans were running Trump Republicans. They're doing the same now, and all the pollings at the time had it very close. I really believe, not only I believe, I hope, I pray, that the Democrats win this by a landslide.
I mean, in 2022, there was this idea that there was going to be this red wave that supposedly really never came.
That's what I'm talking about. And they're saying this red wave now.
I mean, they were able to flip a few seats in the House by very few seats, but those seats made a difference in kind of blocking some policy. Like, for instance, we had an immigration policy that was blocked by the House. And those few seats that the House had extra really made a difference.
Well, that was Long Island and upstate New York. It was for various local reasons.
I mean, do you think we'll flip those seats in this election?
I think we'll flip those seats because I think people realize how horrendous these people have been. And the Democrat candidates are running a good team of people. So I think we'll win that. And I also think Harris is going to win by a large margin because, you know, you have people, but they realize that Trump is basically insane. He's not only insane, besides being feeble, he's insane. He were to get elected, this would be very serious for the country because it would create chaos.
I mean, what chaos do you think is going to come if he gets elected at this point? I mean, do you foresee that there may be riots or people who are...
I don't know if they're going to be riots. I mean,
maybe that's an extreme.
Well, I mean, but the point is, it depends how he does his chaos. If he does his chaos like he did the first time, where he was just incompetent.
Well, I mean, just the rhetoric alone,
right? But then that's it. But if he meshes with NATO, messes with that world economic policy, where the pegging of the dollar and things like that, where we're no longer pegged to the dollar, we'll become a second world nation, and the rich people will be hit the hardest because the very poor are poor under Trump, they're very poor under Harris, they're very poor under Biden, and, you know. But the rich will really lose out, in my opinion, because they have more to lose if Trump gets in.
Yeah.
I mean, this Elon Musk is a nut.
Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk is definitely backing Trump, and I think he became even stronger once there were, I guess, shots thrown at Trump in Pennsylvania, the fire shots. You know, Elon Musk, you know, acquiring Twitter and creating X has been, you know, behind the idea of freedom of speech. Many say is hate speech because he just allows anything on his platform. You know, so, but it's definitely a different set of values between the two parties. I mean, so you think that Kamala is going to win by a landslide?
Only based, and it's not scientific, it's not anything, I'm not an expert on this, but only based on what happened in 2022. The way
I think it, you know, I don't want to, you know, I'm concerned because the Democrats in 2016, all the polls and everyone expected Hillary to win, and then she did not win. And everyone was disappointed because no one saw that coming, so to speak.
Yeah, but Hillary...
So I don't think you ever want to take for granted that can't happen again.
No, it could. Obviously, it could happen again. But we've got to remember when Trump ran the first time, you didn't really know who he was. That, you know, usually, you know, the presidency.
Well, he didn't have a record like he does today.
Except for Trump, the presidency usually moderates you. you come in very liberal, you come in very conservative. Even Ronald Reagan, who came up with horrendous policies, but he kind of changed his tune when he became president. He was more suave in the sense of, where he...
I mean, post 2016, we're looking at, January 6th that happened. We're looking at 4 indictments that have come since then. There's other... This is a different type of election than that was.
Remember this, and I guess most of the people have already voted already, but most of the people who served with him have endorsed Harris. A tremendous amount of people. And you've had tremendous amounts of Republicans that have gone over, not because they agree with Harris philosophically, but they agree with the way her package in terms of the way she's presenting, because Trump is so abominable, and that he defies traditional conservative standards. People like Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, the former President Bush I don't think hasn't endorsed anyone. Maybe he'll come out and endorse. I don't know what's going on there, but a lot of people. His vice president didn't even show to the convention, is not endorsing him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a pretty serious, you have a lot of things where so many Republicans are supporting.
And I feel like some Republicans who did endorse him do it out of fear, because it's kind of like politically their career may be... Because Trump has this revenge aspect to him.
It's not only that, you support the team. Many of them are good team
exactly.
players.
There's that
I don't know what's going on with
too.
Lindsey Graham. He's got something on Lindsey Graham. They must have something on some people. But.
I mean, it's no different than like Mitch McConnell, who back in 2020 made a statement that, or 2021, that Trump did contribute to January 6th. And then during this election cycle said he was supporting the candidate, which was Trump. So like, you know what I mean? Like, so they know like what his participation was, but yet are still willing to overlook that and back
Well, they got judges. McConnell got judges from him. But I mean,
so McConnell had an agenda,
right? But I mean, that in the past, I don't know why he's supporting him now. But I don't, it's just crazy. I don't think if he gets in, there's going to be a lot of problems.
I mean, in 2020, we didn't find out who the president was for several days because certain.
It's like a week or something.
Yeah, because we were dealing with COVID, and a lot of people had voted via mail, so they had to do all this ballot counting post. Election day.
Well, because it was so close in Pennsylvania that they had to count the absentee ballots. They had to have time to come in, and maybe Arizona. But once they realized it went over a certain number, even if all those ballots were counted, Trump wouldn't have won.
I mean, we're kind of post-COVID now. We're kind of out of that danger zone. Do you think we're going to find out tonight who the candidate is, or do you think it's going to take several days for us to find out who's going to win?
Well, if it's a landslide, we'll find out tonight. If it's close, we're not going to find out. Especially with all the monkeying around with Georgia or with this and that. But I mean, if you won so many states where Georgia doesn't even matter, obviously you want to win Georgia.
Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes Americans want to find out right away and get it over with, because it's almost like...
Right. The only other time in my lifetime that's been delayed so long was with Bush Gore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, that was pretty, traumatic. And, Hillary gave her concession speech that night. She was a lady. She didn't say, this, that.
Yeah, 2016 we knew
right
at the end of the evening.
She was a real lady.
I mean, I think that her advisement later on was to not concede so quickly. I mean, do you think that, we're going to see... I mean, obviously, I don't think Trump is going to concede. If he loses, he's going to say the election was botched, and of course, there was interference and so forth. I mean, that's just going to be the expected rhetoric, because that's just what he does. I mean, he still doesn't admit that Joe Biden won in 2020. I mean, how do you foresee, if Trump loses, that he's going to take this, so to speak?
Well, he's not going to take it well. Obviously, he's been a sore loser. That's his pattern. I mean, he didn't even show up to the inauguration. I mean, when George H.W. Bush lost to Bill Clinton, he came to the inauguration. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He was a gentleman. They later became good friends, actually. That's a whole, you know, when Jimmy Carter beat Gerald Ford came to the inauguration. Nobody wants to lose. Trump left before the inauguration. So it shows what type of human being. He's just a horrible human being. I don't know how anyone in their right mind could support him, even if you agree with his philosophies in some areas. He's just despicable. I don't, you know, I mean, if he's elected, I just think we're in big trouble because we have to deal with world leaders, and we are, you know, we're still pretty much an economic super. We're still a powerful country, but we'll lose that. I mean, we'll bring it down. If he wins, he will bring us down. We will be brought down by ourselves.
No, I agree. I mean, to get a little bit more into local politics, you're a district leader here in
we did
New York City.
We were doing a huge thing on vote Proposition 1, which protects...
What's Proposition 1?
But what would Prop 1 do? Prop 1 will protect. All New Yorkers deserve our fundamental rights and reproductive freedoms, including abortion. Voting yes will guarantee our rights in the state constitution, so politicians can't take them away. And it will close loopholes to make sure New Yorkers can't be discriminated against by the government. The New York Equal Rights Amendment would explicitly prohibit discrimination based on a person's ethnicity, national origin, age, disability, and sex, including their sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, pregnancy and pregnancy outcomes, reproductive health care, and autonomy. Basically, that means that the government can't treat you differently because of your gender, where you come from, what you look like, who you love, how your body works, and what you decide to do with that body. This amendment is important for everyone. It ensures that no New Yorker can be discriminated against by the government.
It's to protect ERA, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, pro-choice. I even got you a little gift. It's a little late, but...
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, on New York Proposition 1. I'm actually supporting this on the ballots
okay,
today.
So that's important. The other ballots I voted no on, the other issues, but the Prop 1 is very important that we vote.
And I
yes.
think that the other states are also putting this on the ballot in terms of, because now that abortion's gone down to the states,
This is not just abortion, though. This is something different. This is New York State, but abortion is included in this. Because the abortion law is from 1970. We were one of the first to have abortion before the nation was under Nelson Rockefeller, a Republican governor and a Republican legislator that passed abortion laws in 1970. But they're antiquated now. It's 54 years.
And then, as New Yorkers, we're lucky that, you know, we're in a state and city that has so many protections. If the federal government doesn't serve them, that they're umbrellaed under the state or city.
The state might, the federal government might come down and change that. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
especially if Trump gets in and he has Supreme Court or a legislator.
But I'm thinking those other states that don't have those same protections, how vulnerable they are, specifically because of the federal. Certain things are not grandfathered anymore through the federal.
Women have died because of that.
Yeah,
it's not just we're talking. Harris had mentioned how when they talk about to save a woman's life for an abortion, what that means is she will have to have been near death or very sick before they intervene to give her the abortion. That's a pretty big thing. Instead of giving it to her right away, when they say she will have to wait, that her life is threatened. That's huge. And that's where states and Republican and Democrat governments matter.
Please click the link below and visit Carmella Cann shop. Have official merchandise, anything from magnets to tote bag. And they're perfect for either holiday gifts or birthday gifts. And you could get your official Carmella Cann merchandise on the link below. There's a lot of cultural things that are different between the Republicans and Democrats. The way both of them view immigration reform, transgender people are under attack.
Well, take immigration. We need immigration. These people are not taking jobs that you or I or a lot of these people would do. These people are taking jobs, they're back-breaking jobs, like the grapes of wrath. They're doing the farming. A lot of these farmers need them. If you go to a restaurant, because it's not like where the women stay home and cook and people stay home and cook. People go out a lot. Who are the busboys? Who are the dishwashers? Who are the people doing the work? You're not going to clean, me either, I'm not saying you're not going to clean pots and pans or wash things down. These are our great-grandparents.
Well,
this is what our great-grandparents is. When they came from Europe, they did the jobs that the Native Americans
But there are, to play
wouldn't do.
devil's advocate, many Americans that do feel as though there are people who will do those jobs and that now they're competing in a bigger pool of people for work, especially people, for instance, who, only have a high school diploma and, are looking for jobs within a specific category. Then now that they're going to have to compete, at least there is this argument out there. I mean, I've heard it.
I mean, it's just, it doesn't make, I mean, it's not enough people to where the stuff would get done. Who's going to, work in the nursing homes, the whole home care, this is all, a lot of these are hardworking immigrants, which our great-great-grandparents were. What do you think our people were?
I mean, this country's founded on immigrants.
Right. So, I mean, unless you're Native American, we're all immigrants.
True.
So,
but the
I
way
mean, there
people
has to be
view
control.
immigration policy is different.
But even under Obama and under Biden, they tried to make it like everything was ass wild. It was not. They were Obama sent back a lot of people, deported a lot of people.
No, he did actually, yes.
And some
Under
of them
his
had criminal
administration.
records, this, that, back in the day, you had gangsters that were, the Jewish gangsters, the Italian gangsters, they were immigrants, some of them. You got some rotten apples, you send them back.
Well, also the world was very different in 2010 than it is now in 2024.
But
There
even
are
Biden
other.
has sent people back and restricted. They've made a deal with Mexico where they're screening them in Mexico. I'm not saying this is perfect. It's far from perfect. But also remember, a very conservative senator from Oklahoma, Larson, came out with an immigration plan which the Democrats were going to go along with because they wanted to get something done. Even though it was not to the, it was a compromise.
Yep.
And Trump told them not to do it. And this was a conservative Republican plan for immigration. The Republicans just trying to use this as an issue. Years ago, there was the word red herring.
I mean,
It's a
immigration
red herring.
reform's been an issue for at least over 20 years. Like I said, I remember being in college where this was still being debated, and they
Well,
still
that was
could
the
not come.
Dreamers and all that. That was something very different. But I mean, this.
But it's still been hard to find a consensus between both parties.
No, but they did. They had a consensus in the Senate and House of Representatives, and Biden was going. And Trump told them not to let it go through. So there was a consensus by a conservative Republican from Oklahoma. So that's not true. This is like I'm saying, a red herring. They're just trying to create hysteria.
So on a final note, do you think that, what do you think it's going to be tonight we're going to find out, or it's going to be like, I hope it is, so the anxiety for everyone is over, because I think that until people know and the election is called, people are going to be anxious and just wanting to know the results.
Like I said, if it's a landslide, we'll know tonight.
All right, yeah.
Or a and landslide is considered 10 points or above, 10% above. If it's not a landslide, it's iffy. It depends where and which states are.
Yep.
Are
I mean,
in-
we're going to look
in
at
the-
these 7 battleground states. Those are going to be the deciders.
Right, look, but we could pick up a state like Texas. You never know.
No, true.
And that would be amazing. I mean, that would be like a gift from God. And I think Texas is getting more purple. I don't know if it's there yet, because I don't live there. I'm not there. I can't.
Yep.
But, I mean, a lot of states that we perceive very conservative at some point are not going to be conservative.
Well, we're going to find out very soon the future of the next 4 years in this country.
Yeah, we might be moving somewhere else.
Probably. Well, thanks so much for being a guest, David.
Oh,
I
thank you
appreciate
for having me,
being
yeah.
on. Thanks so much for tuning into today's podcast. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also leave me a comment on YouTube and tell me what you think. I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast.